uh, okay, if I'm not really good at it, okay, face it, deal with it, learn, you know.
Okay.
I mean, ask, be open to that. So it's like, of course, I mean, I'm from like a technical or engineering career as well. You know, I used to hate selling, but and of course, yeah, I'm more social, whatever. But if it is your role, I mean, you have to do it. You know, and
Now,
first of all, do the I mean, change your mindset. You know, start to
yes.
loving it. Find how it actually is gonna help you in your whole life, and see how important is selling for your whole life, because you're selling every moment of your life, and that's true. Even though if you say you don't like it, you're doing it.
Now, let me know because this is not your first startup. You've had many startups before, much more projects as well. But if you have to summarize your journey through sales in, let's say, I don't know, three key points or three inflection points, what would those inflection points be?
Wow, that's a good question. So, yeah, I mean, this is actually our third company, right? And they grow in terms of mindset. I think was exponential, right? The first company was like a regular web studio and design, web and design studio, right? Pretty local, regardless. We had clients in Spain and in the US, but it was more like basically fully service company, right?
Hmm.
Where we were touching the waters of building something, building a company. We were really young, so at that moment, I mean, the process of selling was really organic, right? So, okay, where can we get some clients? What people do we know? What network do we have? So at that point, of course, there was a lot of market for new websites, right? And
Hmm.
we started to reach our like closest network. Like I remember that I think our first company client in that first company was a teacher of mine, or Mauro, who is my business partner, right?
Hmm.
And of course, it was really empiric, right? It was really like, okay, we have to sell, like, because it's part of the business, right? But we never like really thought about like in terms of processing, right? Processes. Um, then of course, between the first company and Amber Pages, that is the second like serious project, just serious company. We had like many other projects, right? Like we launched a book platform, used book platforms, or wine platform. I don't know if you remember that. But we had a wine with the goal to take the Bolivian wines to the world, right? It was called
Okay.
Cepas de Altura. So I remember at that point, I used to go to the fairs. We were living in Bolivia, but we used to go to the fairs, and I was walking with my suitcase, like showing the presentation, the brochures, like printed, like really, really, really showing the image of the salesman that everybody hates, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, and me too. I used to hate that. I used to hate that image of like uh, this archetype of salesperson who is annoying, and actually, yeah. And then of course we moved to Amor Pages, and that was really different because we weren't in the stage of selling at the beginning, right? Regardless, we
Hmm.
tried to sell some advertising and ads and stuff. The revenue came basically from Google Ads, so Google AdWords, right? Yeah. So I managed to build, of course, the commercial strategy, but I wasn't involved directly with sales, right?
Hmm.
So, but in between those projects, I started to like the process of selling, because it's I always, of course, I was young and I was single at most of at some parts of those times. So I always like compare the process of like selling and getting into a relationship, from the flirting
Flirting.
part, flirting, from going to the flirting part, that's one part, to the closing, that of course it has different connotations while you're growing, right? What closing is, right? So and then of course we moved to City Heroes, City Troops, and then of course I was already in love with sales, and that and probably there is where my I would say like uh rational and yeah, rational mind set started to grow in terms of sales. Like I started to study a lot. I started to ask a lot, to relate with people who were good in sales. I started to search for people who were really good sellers and who had a lot of experience in sales, in B2B sales and startups or whatever, and it was really hard to find at that point.
Hmm.
um, I remember that we arrived to San Francisco, and one of the first things we asked, and I asked to the accelerator, was get us the best salesman in your network, you know. And I remember that they pair us with a really nice guy. His name was Jeff. uh, he wasn't really into sales, but he was a good salesman, you know. So and yeah, and from that point, I one of the first things I figured it out is that the even regardless the knowledge is out there, it's flying, everyone sells, but no one can tell you, no one can really teach you properly with the methodology and uh like in a clear way how to sell. And that's the thing,
Hmm.
that's why I actually started to love sales, because uh, um sales is or selling is not a science, right? It's a pseudoscience, because you cannot prove is false, right? And that
Hmm.
leads to the fact that there is a lot of bullshit involved, right? Because you cannot
Hmm.
prove it's wrong or it's right. It's not a science, and it's I used to believe it is an art, and it's kind of an art, right? But I think it's just like um, I would say like the best social skill you can ever learn in your life and in
Okay.
your job.
Now, there's lots of things you just shared. Now, I want to stop a little bit in some of them. So, if I heard you correctly, you talked about your experience going to San Francisco, tapping into all this, you would say, very developed networks of entrepreneurs and mentors and everything else. And the question you asked, like, who's the best salesman? And well, you got some context there, but your biggest aha was like they could not single-pointedly give you a reference that worked right away. Like you had to figure it out in your own. That's what I'm hearing you say. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's precisely right
probably,
or not, or how you say it.
and probably it was because now that I think about it, I mean, of course there are huge like people in terms in the sales world, right? And probably they knew it, probably they
Hmm.
were there, but um, I don't know, maybe it was like more what I was looking for. I was looking for receipts, in terms
Hmm.
of how to sell. I want the step A, B, C to steps, because my
Hmm.
mind used to work like that. I'm an engineer, I studied
Hmm.
industrial system engineer, so I was always trying to look for the receipts, how to do it like step by step, and that's not actually how uh, sales works. Of course, you have methodology, you have frameworks, whatever, but it's not like that. So maybe the directors of the accelerator, they didn't want to introduce me like the best in the best salespeople in Silicon Valley, because probably I wasn't ready yet and our product wasn't
Okay.
ready. Who knows? But of course there is. Silicon Valley, right? They sell billions or trillions. I don't know, but I think it was more that what I was looking for, how I was looking for starting the sales journey for the company.
Okay. So great. So basically, it was very hard for you to get a recipe like advice that for the journey, your specific journey as a founder, not necessarily as a big corporate company growing sales, rather as someone with perhaps not too much track record, but that still has to go and fight a client with those people that do have a different level of budget, something like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's yeah, it was more like like when you're like starting and you have so many things to do, we were a team of two or three, I remember. So I mean, two founders and one developer. At that point, I mean, we had to do everything, right?
Hmm.
So the common mistakes is that founders don't sell from day zero, right? So it was like, okay, we had to do, and I always talk about this, if you're the CEO, first go and sell your product, find your product market fit, and then when you prove that, of course your CTO should be working on the product, but you as the CTO should be the best salesman at the beginning, right?
Okay.
And then hopefully you can get a CRO, like a chief revenue officer or something like that, and you have to be the best salesman for your team, and your CRO and your salespeople, they have to be the salespeople for the clients. So at the beginning, it was like, okay, we have to split from going to meetups, building the product, pitching the whatever, meeting with investors, blah 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 blah, right? And the 10% was trying to sell. Regardless that in San Francisco, actually, we were knocking doors, We sent
Hmm.
letters, we were knocking doors, we were calling, we did everything. So, yeah, but it wasn't enough.
So you said something that every founder should be their best salesman. Now, it took you some years to get to that point, right? You talked about a journey, at least 5, 6 years, different companies, where you actually went from a stage where you were that person you didn't like to be to actually go first before you pivot the product. I mean, you were selling first before you pivoted the product into what it turned to be. That's your story a little bit. Now, uh, many people which I've worked with come from a technical aspect. They're CEOs of their companies. They come from a technical aspect. So naturally, selling is not, they think that it's not for them. What would you say to them?
Uh, Face it. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm really, or deal with it, I'm really done with this concept of having spoiled people in teams, uh, uh, in terms of okay, if I'm not really good at it, okay, face it, deal with it, learn, you know
Okay.
I mean, ask, be open to that. So it's like, of course, I mean, I'm from like a technical or engineering career as well. I used to hate selling, but and of course, yeah, I'm more social, whatever. But if it is your role, I mean, you have to do it. And
Now,
first of all, do the I mean, change your mindset. Start to
yes.
loving it. Find how it actually is going to help you in your whole life, and see how important is selling for your whole life, because you're selling every moment of your life, and that's true. Even though if you say you don't like it, you're doing it
Now, you said something as well. You said the founder has to be the best salesman of their company.
at the beginning.
And there is this natural inclination, even at the beginning, where people who are uncomfortable with being a salesman try to hire someone to do sales for them.
Mhm.
What is so important about being your best salesman first?
So okay, this is the classical discussion, right? So is the CEO has to be the best salesman? I would say yes at the beginning, right? Because at the beginning, of course you're selling, but you are validating. I mean,
Hmm.
you're finding your product market fit, right? So at the beginning, actually, you're not like closing transactions. You're getting insights from your client, right?
Great.
And that's where the CEO has to be the best, right? Because okay, I have to do this. Can I sell it to you? And because you're doing the sale, right? No, yes, okay, product market fit, product market fit. And at one point, you kind of naturally develop that um, I will say that skill for selling your product. So it's your
Hmm.
product, and you should be and you will be the best of selling your product because nobody knows what LeO is selling, right? Uh,
Yes.
but of course, and then when you kind of find this product market fit, that it's an evolution, and that's something that evolves over time, right? You have to set up the right methodology and process and strategy. That's a key role of the CEO as well, right? So, okay, I know how to sell it, right? And now we're gonna implement this receipt or at least this the signals, right? Okay,
Hmm.
let's write it down. Let's put the processes and all the systems that help me to sell. And at that point,
Hmm.
find the best salespeople in the market. Get a CRO, whatever you can afford, right? If
Hmm.
not, so I always talk about like hands-on CRO and like strategic CROs, right? At that point, you have to understand what type of CRO do you need. Probably you don't need the XVP of Google,
Hmm.
right? Probably you don't. You need probably an ex founder or an ex founder who closed his startup, but he knows how to sell. But he's gonna get dirt. He's gonna go and knock the doors. And that eventually is going to become the strategic CRO. But at that point, probably you need like hands-on CRO or a hands-on salespeople or manager of sales.
Yes, so if I heard correctly, why this is so important for a founder, because no one will sell your belief better than yourself, right? You know why you started, you know why it's important, you know what to look for, and that's very hard to train, at least in the beginning, at least until you start figuring it out. And uh, and then for all those people that are uncomfortable, and let me know if you agree, selling is not that it's going to stop being uncomfortable, but it's something that's completely learnable. I mean, everything that you need to know about how to do,
Mhm.
approach, and close a sale can be learned. And it's not about this archetype of the meta salesman that everyone loves, rather about knowing how to approach the conversation in a smart way.
Yeah,
Would you agree with some of that,
I mean,
or how would you say
sales.
it?
Uh, there is always a level or degree of no comfort zones in selling, right? Like
Yeah.
because at the end you're trying to show something that it's not like manipulating, it's persuading, right? So, and of course, if you have to face many things there, like right, like the fear of rejection, how do you handle stress, how you speak, the tone, how you wear, how you dress, everything, right? But as you said, it's not like you have to learn to model how the other people do it. You have to find your style. Actually,
Yeah.
I at one point of my journey learning to in this world, I tried many things. I tried to model. I remember Jordan Belfort, right, the Wolf of Wall Street.
Hmm.
So I watch all his videos, and he's like, "You have to be shark as attack," like blah, 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 and all this energy, and it's good. But that's his style. And
Hmm.
when I try to apply all those techniques from him, which is really good for him, I wasn't myself. So it's like when you flirt, as we said. If I try to go and pick up a girl like LeO do it, maybe it works, maybe it won't. But you have to find your style.
Hmm.
And that style uh, begins with the fact that if you're selling bullshit, nobody's going to buy anything,
Yeah,
right? So you
so,
have to be
something we
true.
share a lot, and is that you're saying that selling bullshit. Another way of selling the same thing is that if you don't believe your shit, if you don't believe your product,
Yeah,
you're starting the sales in with the wrong foot, because you cannot possibly pretend that the other person is gonna believe something that you don't. And if you don't start from a belief standpoint, then you're gonna be wrong down the road. I mean, maybe you'll close some of the deals, but then when you ask yourself, why am I not closing as many as I should? Maybe because you don't believe your stuff. So I completely agree with that. Um, I mean, and I would just want to summarize something first. You said it's a mental mindset. So the first battle that you have to fight when it comes to learning how to sell and having the courage to do it is change the way you're thinking about it. Just allow yourself to learn the things you must to be able to do it because you can. And there's so many examples of people that don't come from a selling background, that come from a technical background, that are socially awkward, but when it comes to business, they've learned to do it because that's if you don't do sales, you're pretty much doomed to failure, right?
Sure. Exactly.
So I like the fact that you're inviting everyone to understand that first and foremost you can, but first of all you have to believe in what you're doing strongly because if you don't start there, it's not gonna
Yeah,
lead. And
and don't be afraid. I mean, just go out, get out there, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
be rejected. We always say that the team collect the no's, right? Be comfortable with the no's. Be comfortable with with the rejection, because you will get so many no's that you're gonna be like strong to it, you know? Like, I mean, it won't. You'll get to a point that you don't care anymore, but you're gonna learn. Of course, it's not a just go no, 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 like blinded. You know, you have to
Mhm.
learn. You have to build your product market fit. Why is people telling me no? It's not because I'm ugly or because I'm Latino or because
Mhm.
I don't speak good English, whatever. No, probably not. People clients won't care if you're like black, red, white, yellow, whatever, or if you talk shit. They're gonna care if you provide them value, if you save them money, or if you make them money, right?
Exactly. So that's so important. Sometimes we're obsessed that it's about our product and they could possibly care less about the product and less about you. The only thing that your prospect cares about is their problems, their issues, the size of their issues. And if you approach a call and you don't query them about that, you may be barking the wrong tree because and if you get a no, it's not because of you. It's just because you're barking the wrong tree. I mean, you're potentially didn't find any pain and that conversation is not worth exploring and go pivot or change it or do something else. But what I like about what you said is that every no gives you the opportunity to learn and to do something about that. So it's not just about growing what do you call it, like thick skin with every no. It's more about smart thick skin. Like, don't take it
Exactly.
personal, but you have to actually translate that into something. I mean, what am I doing wrong? What can I learn out of this that actually will make the likelihood of my next call to get closer to a yes, and so on and so forth, right? So, um, now, before we dive deeper into the specifics of what worked, I want to talk about Daniel. I mean, what personal story can you tell us about yourself that has nothing to do with what you do today, but that will help anyone that's listening understand you better?
Wow. Across my life, or
Anything.
recent
I
times,
mean,
or
it can be a hobby, it can be an interest, it can be an
okay,
anecdote. I mean, whatever. Something that you could say is very Daniel-like.
okay. I would say that I'm really curious. I'm a really curious
Okay.
person, right? So I try to try many things in my life. You know, I should be better at closing things. You know, I actually had some many issues for not doing that, but or for not being better at that. But since I'm a curious person, I try a lot of things. For example, I'm addicted to sports and adrenaline. I don't do drugs, so my addiction is probably dopamine I get from sports and social interaction in terms of when I'm single flirting, maybe when I'm not with the couple, right? But I love adventure, so I tried many things from sports like rugby, of course, football, tennis. I almost died doing skydiving. I went under a truck doing downhill in Peru. I I do surf. I love it. Regardless, I really suck at it, but I love it. I try kite surfing. I try to hang out a lot with different type of people. I try to not judge. Sometimes it's hard, but I try to not judge. I now into I would say really deep spiritual learning, which I'm loving it, and which I really recommend to any salespeople or any founder. And now I actually signed up to acting classes. That's something that
Acting
I
classes.
yeah, that actually, when we were living in Chile, building the company, I really want to get some acting teacher for helping us the founders and the sales and the CEOs who are in sales, in how to like understand the characters we're playing and to
Hmm.
communicate better. So this is my last uh, activity that I'm just signed up, and I'm really enjoying it because it gives me an opportunity to, first of all, like understand other people's life, to live them, and in some case like act like them, like those roles. So yeah, I love it.
Very interesting. So you are an adrenaline guy, you're a curious guy, and you very on top of it said it leads me to lots of things, such as your loves of sports and everything you've tried. It led you to acting, which you're connecting also with the role you do. But you said curiosity in general. So how could you connect that with sales? What about being curious is so important when it comes to sales?
Because when you're really curious, you ask a lot of questions, right? And the questions are the basics for the probing stage, right? Probing is when you're actually understanding your client's pain point, right? So if you're curious, you're gonna truly you want to truly want to know what's hurting in your client, right? And you're gonna ask why. And you're gonna ask why. Not only following the script, right? But okay, I know we're trying to sell like field service management, but how do you solve it? And why you didn't try anything before, or why your current solution is not working? Okay, but you're trying that, but where is hurting, right? How you solve it? How do you measure? How you assess that? And but if you're really curious on the things, even on the small details that you hear, and practice a lot of like active hearing as well, or listening, um, and that only being curious, you're gonna find a lot of things that you can solve or you can build on your product for improving your product market fit, right? And to connect, because people love to share, love to talk in a good way, right? So if you're curious enough, I think you're gonna make at least really good friends and good relationships. And for me,
Mhm.
as sales is more about relations more than transactions.
Great. Yes, I mean, especially if you're in the B2B world where it's not a one-off transaction, it's rather a multi-month or year relationship, you have to play the long game, right? And the long game is the game of relationships. So you have to start on the right foot. And if I heard you correctly, by being genuinely curious, you're actually gonna figure out how to be helpful. And I mean, if you know how to be helpful, where it's hurting and what you can do about it, then whomever's listening understand that it's not about you selling them something, it's about then them figuring out how they can help you solve your issue. So it's less
And at the
about,
beginning, and at the beginning, if they can trust, right?
yeah.
Because what asking questions create a bond, right?
Hmm.
Create a relationship, you know. When you're like genuine and really natural in that, like if you really believe what I mean, if you really want to know what's happening on the other side, you're gonna create a relationship, right? And people will open to you. So, and that's the first part, because at the end, yes, they're gonna hire for a solution and for the value provided, but at the end of the day, they're gonna hire or they're gonna buy from LeO, right?
Hmm.
Who is the one? If I'm gonna give you my money and my time, you better be good, right? So,
Hmm.
and I won't give you. Okay, I like your product, but if I don't trust in you, mm, it's gonna be hard, right?
Yes. So you said lots of things there. First of all, you said if you do questions, you can create an emotional connection. I would sort of rephrase it in like if you know how to make the right questions, you can make emotional connection because you also have the wrong questions that lead
Yeah,
you nowhere.
but
So
don't be
it's
afraid of
part of,
them. Don't be
huh?
afraid. Be human, right?
Of course,
And
but I just want to stop there a little bit because crafting a good question will can lead you to somewhere very nice. So
it's true.
what I
It's true.
want people to allow themselves to understand is if they do it right, they can create an emotional connection and a positive emotional connection for whatever it's worth, right? And what does that mean? That every time you make a proper connection, a proper question where they connect with you, where they understand, where they feel understood, you're working unconsciously the emotional aspect. And working it is important. It's not irrelevant. It's very important because, as you said, when it boils down to business and you have two perhaps comparable choices, who are you going to go to? Whoever you trust. And who you trust, whomever has or consciously or unconsciously worked this emotional aspect.
Yeah, and know that in that matter is that companies usually don't want to take risks. You know
Hmm.
why companies go to big names like Salesforce or SAP or whatever, because they are super expensive. I believe there are thousands of companies that provide a better product and a better service than those ones. But they go to them because the risk is low.
Hmm.
So how what's your plan to beat them? You won't beat them with the product, for sure not, right? Build them with the service, with the relationship, with the trust.
Okay, so you're barking a very interesting tree. What else have you done that helps you better play in that field where they cannot? I mean, what do I mean? You said people, big companies normally are comfortable working with these big names because it's at some extent risk-free. And
Mhm.
many times, what that means is that they have specific annoyances that can be very big annoyances that they're able to bear because it's a safe bet. Now, how do you approach a conversation such as that where people are comfortable with whatever would be the Salesforce in your industry?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that something that worked for us from the beginning is provide the best services as you can. You know,
Okay.
it is expensive. It's not easy to do, but build an amazing customer success team, right? Because at one point your software your product is gonna fail, right? But first of all, and for solving an issue or a requirement, whatever, I would say that at least the 70% of the solution is telling your client that you listen, that you heard the issue and you're gonna
Hmm.
solve it. Then is the current resolution, right? But
Hmm.
have you ever tried to reach like Meta customer support or Google support? If you're not paying, if it's not related with Google AdSense or something like that, the things that you're actually paying, you will
Hmm.
never reach them because of
Hmm.
course it, they cannot handle it, right? It's too much people, too many clients. But with your 10, 50, hopefully 100 clients, listen to them, you know
Hmm.
and put people to listen to them, you know not bots are okay, but I mean you have less than 100 clients, listen to them, you know
So,
I mean, serve them properly, give them the best services as you can provide.
okay, so if I heard you correctly, when you're working with, for example, where you're competing, if that's the right word, with an incumbent where people are comfortable with, first of all, they still have issues. And one of the most immediate issues you could be facing is that you're not being serviced, right? I mean, they're not giving you time, they're not attending you in the way you could. So what you figure out is that if you're able to provide exceptional service, they're willing to consider you whereas they would not have done it otherwise. So
Yeah, but
why?
this is
Because you can,
dangerous.
because you can act upon what they want.
Yeah, but
What?
this is dangerous as well because it's not scalable, right?
Yes, of course.
As we talk, but it is important because and there's like really technical things as well in terms of selling. Like it's like um, qualification, right? If you say yes to a client, if you said yes to his money or to their money, it's because you qualify them, right? So if they got into your pool of clients, you have to serve well the I don't know Leo's company to Coca Cola, right, or to
Hmm.
whatever is your client, because
Hmm.
they will expect that treat. So if you said yes to their money, you have to sell them properly. So I'm going with this. I mean that sometimes you have to say no to your clients at the beginning.
Okay.
You just want to get as many clients as one, but you have a big churn because you cannot provide them a good service.
Okay, so let me unpack that because there's so much behind that. So, if I heard you correctly, through time, you learned of the importance of qualifying your client, not because you're not gonna close someone, rather because if you close someone which you're not ready to serve or who's not a good client of yours, that can backfire, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that can be more costly than the
it can be a
value of the
nightmare.
service that they're paying.
Yeah, and we had a lot of those issues. You know, we took clients; they were kind of big clients, mid, small, whatever. And sometimes we actually kind of lost the focus of the product, trying to serve them. You know, and some of them
Okay.
were really a nightmare, and some of them were really good. But and we always try to serve all of them equally. You know, but yeah, it's important to and of course, at the beginning, you want to do sales, and it's okay. But eventually, you
Mhm.
have to know even which client you have to drop.
Wow, that's great. So be, I mean, if I would have to put in a message, it would be like, uh, know who not to serve. I mean, like pretty much don't take any money because that can be very risky.
Really
Um,
expensive.
And why? Because it can force you to commit more resources than you should. It can be a pain in the ass sort of client. It can make you put something in the pipeline that you should have not, and so on and so forth. And that's so many ways it can be very costly. So, whomever's listening, just pay attention. Don't take any money. Make sure that whomever you are agreeing to do a deal with that you can properly serve and that does not put your roadmap in a completely different context. So, Daniel, some people may not know, but right now you're operating in between 12 or 16 countries, something like that. So that's quite a bit. Even if you take 8 years into perspective, what have you learned that worked when it comes to opening or considering opening a new country? I mean, if you had to do it again, what would be your way to tackle or to even decide to go into a new country?
Mhm. Uh, so just to clarify, yes, we have more than 17 countries where we have clients, where we have offices, right, over there. We are a small team. We always try to be a small team, always a profile. That's important. So, and we want to keep small, right? Um, And talking about the clients, yeah, I would say it's more like a vanity metric, right? So because it sounds good to have clients in more than 17 countries, which is good, of course, but each country has its own like culture. You know, Latin America is way different, like in Spain, for example, or in the US. You know, so basically we have that because we grew organically. You know, and because we our acquisition channels were like a lot of inbound, and of course you can target, but we had a lot of clients that were coming from those countries, and we didn't say no to many of them. So and yeah, it happened that we have clients from Mexico, the US, and Mozambique, right? So
Okay.
but I won't I won't really focus on that. Actually, I will focus on nailing one market or a couple or three markets. Like the mark. Actually, yes. My advice will be find your find your markets, but I mean understand the markets, right? I will say two or three because it has you have to diversify as well the markets, right? What happened if you only focus on Argentina, right? Argentina
Hmm.
is in crisis every 5 years or whatever, right? Every
Hmm.
10 years. So or Mexico or the US, right? So you have to be kind of prepared for not being affected by those crises in the in countries, or like currency rates, right? I know what happened with actually Argentina or Mexico. So you can lose a lot of money because if you put all your eggs in one basket, it can be dangerous for you. And right now, if someone can pay you with a credit card, it doesn't really matter where the money comes from, right? Of course, you have to focus your effort in terms, and mainly when you're like doing outbound, right? Or like marketing, like investing, like paid advertising or paid channels, whatever. But otherwise, you can serve them all, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I'll start focusing, yes, in like two or three countries that are big enough for our product, where they can actually kind of have a similar culture, and then yeah, start growing like organically as well. But I don't know.
Okay, so in your case, the way you ended up having 18, 15 countries is because you took the opportunities that arose with clients that wanted to expand maybe to other locations or that were from a location, and you didn't shy out of attending them. It's not that you were obsessed with growing a new country, rather that you were okay with opening a new country as long as the opportunity makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
probably it was more a mistake than a strategy,
okay.
Now it sounds good, but as we say, we made a lot of mistakes, and all the things that I told you comes from mistakes we made, So probably if you ask me now, yeah, don't open 17 countries, like focus on three or even one at the beginning, like big countries as Mexico, Brazil. I don't know,
So so let's talk about Spain. You've been there how long?
5 years now.
5 years. Okay, so what can you tell us about Spain that's unique? I mean, something that you learned about selling to Spanish companies that someone that hasn't been on ground would not know.
Yeah, Spain is a tough market. It's a tough market because in Spain they're really traditional. It depends where you
Okay.
sell, of course, and which industry are you trying to sell. But in Spain, it is really traditional in terms of how they do business. So if you are not a big brand or you don't have the leverage of like contacts, local context and stuff, you're gonna face a lot of challenges. So in that
Okay.
matter, probably you have to find like partners or invest a lot of money in building a brand. Yeah, it's not an easy market. Of course, possible. And actually, that made us change a bit of strategy and go back and focus more in Latin America. You know,
Hmm.
but yeah,
But okay, so you would say if you want to open in Spain and you're not from Spain, be careful because they're used to doing business traditionally, which means working with big companies or looking to local contacted people. So if you don't have access to high net worth individuals that can take you around, the next best thing would be perhaps consider finding a partner. Would that be it?
I will go. Yeah, yeah, I will go by that. I mean, it's not the U.S., right? It's not that you go and you show your solution. Maybe they're open to it, right? Because that's the
Hmm.
culture of the companies. It depends on your client or your ICP, your BPs, whatever. But I would say, yeah, try if you're trying to come to Spain, try to get a soft landing partner or partners,
Okay.
right? Someone who already had already has the clients that you are looking for. And I think that would be my advice for
Okay.
this.
And how can you easily find them? Do they, I mean, how could you easily find, or now that you know what you know, where would you go to find a soft landing partner?
There's no easily way to do it. uh, no, I mean
I know,
that's why we
co-working
actually
space. I don't know.
that's why actually we kind of refocus our strategy, right? Because it's not easy to find partners,
Okay.
and financially it didn't make too much sense to invest a lot of money to open this market, which is not our primary market, right? So it's not easy way, but with work enough and time enough, you can find for sure.
I know that you're someone that's persistently doing things different. I mean, like you don't leave your process stale, you're testing things, everything else. When you think about things you've tested last year, is there any piece of advice that everybody was like very happy about, that you were happy about testing it, that it really didn't work? I mean, anything that everyone was advising, but when it comes to business, it just didn't work for you?
Hmm, that's a good question. I'm thinking about AI and videos. AI, we
Okay.
haven't tested that much. We are in the process. Videos, I think they're really good. I think they're the best way to approach if you know how to use them. Videos like recording your
Mhm.
videos for outbound or outreach, right? I think they're really good. And they convert a lot if it's natural and if it's truthful. You know,
Mhm.
don't try. I won't try to automate videos for selling like 1,000 clients per day. You know, pick well, pick who you want to send videos because it's gonna take more time. Do you can of course now with you can be like AI automation with your face and whatever. I won't go there yet because people is not stupid, you know. I mean, we can still
Okay.
recognize when Leo is not Leo, right, and it's a bot. So if I think videos work a lot for outreach, but do it properly. I mean, do your fucking job and find the way who you want to send the video, and don't send the one who is your not your client. Go for
Okay,
the big
so I'd split the comment in two parts. One is a thing you've tried that worked is recording yourself in a video as part of your outbound
yeah, the
process.
outreach, right? Yeah,
So if you do it right, and what does that mean? If you're able to tailor make it to whomever is listening in a very nuanced way, it might not be the most scalable thing, but it can work, and it's something worth trying.
it's not
But, and
scalable
here
for
like
sure.
the big huge but, right? If you think that you can do this in an automated way with AI, be very wary, because you could be burning a lot of things that you should not be burning yet,
Yeah,
because you can only make a great impression once, right? And if they see you as the they don't care about me person that sent me an automated robotic video, and they figure that out, you're not only burning that bridge, but any potential reference from that person, right?
yeah. I mean, you asked what was like the things that didn't work properly, and that's a mixed answer, of course. It work but not always work, right? And
Okay.
maybe it would improve the with AI. You know, my
Hmm.
point is that right now if you're trying to automate your videos for reach for outreach automating with bots probably won't work. You will bet you will get better conversions if you record yourself 1 minute video and you send to your top list of clients, potential clients.
Yes. And it's so important what you're saying right now, because everybody wants to scale. But the thing is that I mean, you have to put yourself in the position of the one who's receiving this. If they figure out that you didn't put the time in to make something that's really made for them, then they're gonna treat you like any other salesman. maybe they'll pick up the call, but very likely they won't because, like yours, they receive thousands of mails. And
Exactly.
actually, from digital, from digital means, ever more frequently than not, I'm hearing that people are stop listening. I mean, they're stop replying to any random mail. They stop interacting with any random content just because they sound like they've been made by a bot. So I don't know if you have any other comment about that.
Yes. I mean, it's like all these attempts to go for the volume, uh, which in some cases is necessary in some with some companies. It's killing. It's draining the fish tank. Basically
Hmm.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is
Yes.
unbearable now. I mean, what do you have? Like 50 messages per day from SDRs, now bots, now with videos, bots. I mean, it's done. It's gone. There's no fish there anymore. So I mean, it's funny, but all these attempts of like being more optimized or more efficient in terms of prospecting are like killing the whole industry, um, our whole industry market, right? We all feed from the same sources right now, at least, you know, uh, mails, LinkedIn, or whatever. Uh, but now it's like it's overwhelmed. Fish are
Okay,
hidden.
so that's an interesting challenge. So in a world where the traditional digital means are feeling overwhelming, what are you doing
It's a
about
good
that?
question.
If
That's a good question,
anything,
and that is actually the challenge now. Because in our case, 80% of our leads came from inbound, right?
okay.
And what happened that since AI and ChatGPT and stuff, um, Google of course changed all the algorithms and how SEO is working, right? Because now they don't care too much about people clicking on the links, right? Uh, of course they do, but right now they're in a career of winning the AI battle, not winning
Mm-hmm.
the SEO battle, and
Mm-hmm.
they're losing money because of that. So it's a challenge because all the SEO optimizations we made of this year that brought us like a lot of leads per month it's not working anymore like it used to do you know so
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge challenge, so we are now like changing the strategies for outbound and inbound. In terms of outbound, we're changing the whole infrastructure or the whole structure of the teams, and we pass to have like special teams of SDRs, to closers, whatever, to have like a teams of um like complete I would say like how do you say full stack salespeople, that can go from SDRs prospecting to closing high end clients. That's what we call like full stack salespeople. And
Okay, so let me understand this straight because it's so you went from a compartmentalized sort of structure that comes like this whole Aaron Ross books where you have
yeah.
to have the SDR, the closer, and the farmer and anything in between
Mhm.
to a full stack salesman.
Yeah,
Why?
but we're not
Or,
we're
or
not mixing we're not mixing customer success. We have customer success teams, yes,
okay.
but
Yeah, but before everything that
all the
happened before the
yeah,
close.
everything that happened before, yes, we are investing a lot in getting good people who are able to handle that. And can you see the opposite things as the market is supposed to be doing? Like in
Okay.
instead of like getting more AI and more bots, whatever, we're doing the opposite. We're investing more in the people. Of course, again, we're facing scalability problems. That's something we're trying, we're testing, but we're going there. We're betting on the relationships again. And in terms of inbound, that of course we were affected with that. I would recommend that don't. go to top of the funnel anymore. Go way bottom of the funnel, because top of the funnel is already there everywhere within AI. Okay, what's a field service management tool? You got it, right? So
Mm.
my what's FSM blog post is not gonna be shown, or
Mhm.
maybe they're gonna take the answer from City Troops blog, right? But if you ask, okay, how to implement FSM in the pharmaceutical industry, what's the receipt, whatever, bottom of the funnel, technical, go there,
Okay.
and maybe you get some
So
clicks.
So we're not at a stage where the easy questions, I mean, where creating the random awareness content is working anymore because there's so much about that. Rather, really thinking about who you're solving a problem and be very specific about what type of content you're creating for them, because that's where there's still some level of opportunity. And I say still some level of opportunity because evermore that's gonna be even
Yeah, it's
what
gonna
would
be
you
overtaken.
call it?
So
Imagined by the LLMs,
yeah,
hallucinated by the LLMs.
yeah, and it's true. I mean, this is actually frustrating, because I think nobody clearly knows what to do in terms of inbound and SEO and stuff. I think HubSpot is doing a good job, but that's basically that. They're going really bottom of the funnel, you know. And of course, they have like a big muscle to do that. But for the rest of us, SaaS, B2Bs, whatever, it is a challenge. So we're trying to figure it out.
Great. Um, what would you What do you believe is the hardest part about selling today? And be this the context, be this the state of art of technology, whatever. I mean, what's the hardest part of selling for you today?
Wow, it's a question. I think it's the constant evolution of product market fit.
Okay.
Uh, because like clients are not so naive anymore. They're not so basic,
Okay.
you know. So they are really a more every time and time they're more advanced users, right? So they now they expect that everything is intelligent, AI based, and offline, and they actually ask for it, you know. So it's really hard to keep that, to follow that requirement, or that necessity, I would say. So uh, and actually it's really hard because sometimes it's really hard to keep with the product market fit like alive, right? And actually everything is concentrated in big companies,
Okay.
because they have more muscles, they invest more, whatever, and the small companies are trying to sell on commodities, you know. So okay, what's AI, this, AI, this, but I mean, it's challenging.
Okay. So the challenging part comes that the technology landscape is changing so much that the product expectations from your client perspective are getting ever more demanding, and every new conversation you already have to be prepared to answer all the AI related questions even though they have no AI needs, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's not only about AI, right?
No,
But
and
they know
I'm just
they
making
know
a
that,
simple example,
yes,
but the point is that they're more sophisticated with their needs, and that
exactly.
makes it complex because then your sales process has to change almost
Yeah,
constantly.
think about like if it will be like runway, right? In terms of money, you have a runway of 18 months in terms of money bank, right? You have 18 months. If you're talking about like product market fit runway, we used to think that once we reach product market fit, okay, we have like what, 5 years, 10 years to live with this product, right? Or to be
Hmm.
alive. But now it's product market fit is like, well, you have a year, 6 months, right? Because now the clients that are looking for, I know, the new image recognition that analyze everything in year fuck, I mean, how can I implement that so fast if we have like a technical depth, right? So that's the challenge, I would say.
And how are you tackling that? I mean, what's the way? Like make everything modular or something like that?
I don't know. You will have to invite to my CTO. No,
Okay. No, but
we
it's interesting because
listening.
everyone listening can relate to that because
Yeah, yeah.
they're struggling with exactly the same thing. I mean,
You know
expectations
how?
are being complex, so it's not an easy market. So you got to be ready to
Yeah,
navigate that conversation.
I would say like niche down and relationships. You know,
Relationships.
like yeah. I also I think that probably the SaaS future goes to the companies that has it all and the companies that has really specific things. And as a company, probably we need to be prepared to launch new product really niche down, you know, plus the service, right? Service, right?
Okay, so
Um, yeah,
very interesting. So first of all, you said lots of things. In this context where it's getting ever more easier for one to create a product and where your client is getting ever more demanding on what they expect of a product, if you were to do it again today, how you would do it, you would be hyper focused on something that you can do better than anyone, but like niche as you can, just so that you can have some form of advantage in this ever changing landscape. Something like that?
yes, but that doesn't mean like drop everything else, right?
Of course, of course.
I would say like having a interconnected niche down product, you know, could be more powerful than trying to have like a mediocre tool that tries to handle a lot of things, where you
Mhm.
cannot compete with the big players, you know,
Okay.
because big players are gonna be there, even though they're slow, whatever. But eventually, they're gonna be there. They're gonna get there.
And that sided with the thing you said before, which I want to share again, is the value of providing exceptional service, right? What that
Yeah,
means, that's something you can do because you can. If you're in earlier stages, even better.
yeah.
Um, okay, so that's amazing. So let's do a quick lightning round. I'm gonna share a concept or question, and you just answer with whatever comes in mind first. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so favorite sales hero.
Sales hero. Well, I'll say Jordan Belfort. No, I don't
Okay?
know, but I would say that yeah, is the one
Okay,
for
Jordan
sure.
Belfort. What about him makes him your hero?
Ah, just the I would say the drivenness.
The drive.
Yeah, the drive. Yeah, the drive.
Amazing. And does he have a book?
He has, right? Yeah, he
I,
has.
I,
He
I
has a
guess
lot of
the
things.
Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so favorite sales book.
Uh, Influenced by Robert Cialdini is this one.
Almost. Yeah, there it is. Influence, amazing. Cold calling.
Mm, yes, for cold calling. Nah,
Nah.
no.
Okay. Biggest reason salespeople fail.
Because they don't try enough. They're not consistent.
They're not consistent. What does mean being consistent mean?
You have to keep showing up. Uh, with three interactions, with three follow-ups, you won't close a sale. You know, it usually takes what 15, 18 interactions. It's not only, hey, I'm following up on my last email. No, it's like understanding, listening, as we said, but keep going, understand your client, you know,
Okay,
understand
so
the
you said
cycle,
something
and
very interesting.
be
You
consistent.
need 14 interactions to close a sale.
Sometimes more. Actually, we have we try to reach at least 18 interactions as a policy, you know. And the metrics and the statistics says that salespeople usually stop at third interaction.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you say interactions and 13, where does your first
18,
call 18, where does your first call fall?
my first call.
Yes.
Usually in the demo call. It depends where
Uh,
where, where, it,
no,
where the
but
list comes from.
it would be your third interaction, or you're saying it takes 18 interactions to get a call.
No, no, no. Hopefully not. Sometimes, right?
Okay.
But no, 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 no. I'm usually it's like it really depends where it comes from, right? If it's actually an inbound lead, it usually goes straight to a call. It should be a
Okay.
call, but it's
Okay.
not a
So
call.
that's would be interaction one out of
Yeah,
your
yeah,
13
yeah, yeah.
expected interactions.
But it's
Okay.
not a call, right? No.
Great. Yeah, and I want to get that as an example because sometimes people say, I send them two mails and they didn't, which is the statistic you said, they end up by interaction three, they give up. Do you have any advice when it comes to like how to do this interaction? Do you do it multi-platform? Do you change the wording? Do you be persistent? I mean, how do
Yeah,
you know you're on the right track when it comes to interactions?
it depends as well on your ICP, right? You
Hmm.
have to, and here, and don't misunderstand, it's good to automate as well, but
Hmm.
you have the buyer matrix, right?
Hmm.
If the client is on education phase, try to automate, right? It depends on the size as well. If it's in comparison, okay, try to mix with automation and manual interactions, right? If it's in
Hmm.
decision making, go full manual. Try to close manual. Don't try
Okay,
to
great.
automate them because you're gonna lose the personalization, right? The customization.
Great. No, I like it. The fact that you understand that they are on different times, you have to understand where they are, and based on where they are, what type of interactions you're going to have.
Exactly.
But this is the first time I'm hearing it from lots of conversations I've had, like the importance of how to stay there, stay under mind, don't lose faith. I mean, if you're talking about like 15 interactions after you had at least one call, I mean, I know so many people that just lose faith down the process, and maybe they're just missing out because they're not doing enough. So that's a very useful tip there. Um, Favorite question to ask on a sales call?
What do you expect from us or from the
What
platform?
do you expect from us?
Yeah.
Great. Where do you typically do this question? At the beginning, end,
Beginning
middle?
at the beginning in the
Great.
problem stage, like probably is the first question we ask in the when we start the problem stage.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, that's something that is very useful for anyone that's listening. One of the first questions that you have to ask, like, what would make this a great conversation? Because you don't know where they're coming from. And the first thing that you have to know is what's important for them. So
Mhm.
that's
Exactly.
something that people don't typically understand. Okay, so that was our lightning round. Okay, so I'm gonna do a brief summary of the important things I've listened, and just so that whomever's listening can perhaps agree or not. Uh, so one of the interesting things you shared is, first of all, your journey from an engineer that was not comfortable at all with selling, where you saw yourself doing things that you didn't like, but pretty much showing up because you had to getting to a phase where you're really comfortable uh, selling because you know you have to do it. But not only that, I mean, it's part of what you have to do as a founder. And you said it early in the conversation as well. Like the founders can and should be their best salesmen, at least at the initial phase. So hopefully, people that are listening will not shy out from doing what needs to be done because, or else they can actually die in the process. You've also shared some nuances about when it comes to sales, how important the mindset is, how important is like really being able to know that you're there to solve an issue. And at the early stage of a startup, that many times means that you can excel at things such as servicing and everything else. And lastly, but not more importantly, you talked about the importance of not losing faith, that at least in your industry, in your company, it takes sometimes up to 13 or 15 follow-ups after a call to be able to close a deal. And that's like what's expected. That means that it can be more or it can be less, but pretty much sending a message to everyone listening, like, don't lose faith, understand what this would mean for you, and be able to tailor it up to your own needs. So that's my brief summary. I know, Daniel, if you would like to emphasize anything else that you found interesting about our conversation.
Yes, I would say that be natural, right? What you're trying to sell is
Hmm.
build that skill. You know, don't pretend to be like Jordan Belfort or like Grant Cardone, whatever. Um, just be yourself. Build your style, and never sell bullshit. You know,
Never sell
in
bullshit.
life and in your company, because it's gonna backfire for sure. You're gonna lose the client. You're gonna lose your relationship. You're gonna lose your friends. You're gonna lose whatever that you sell.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay, so yes, as I said, the other way of saying it is like be your first believer. I mean, if you're gonna be selling something, hopefully you believe in it, because if not, then it can backfire and you can lose
but it's
relationships,
easy
you can lose
to
friends.
lie to yourself as well. But be truthful as well. You
Okay,
know.
be
Yeah.
truthful. Great. Daniel, from everyone listening, is there any way they could reach you out if they wanted?
Yeah. They can reach me in X or Instagram at Daniel Ponce G or Daniel Ponce G, Daniel Ponce G .com. So I'm there whenever you want.
Um,
Or LinkedIn as
Amazing. Okay, so it was a fascinating conversation. Again, thank you for connecting so late. And for everyone that's listening, remember that believing in yourself might be the single thing that you can try in your next call to be able to be successful in it. So remember to believe in yourself. And thank you.
well. Thank you.